Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. All right, so this is the second episode in the marvelous team-up read-through of Murder Falcon. Yep, this is a read-through that we call it the marvelous team-up. Grozz from the GKBC and myself do about every 2 weeks. This series, we're being graced with the presence of Jay, the Faceless Book Review, and he's also doing the read-through with us for Murder Falcon. So please check out his channel, Grozz's channel, of course. And yeah, so this is the second episode. So we're doing about we are doing 2 chapters an episode. So this episode will be chapters 3 and chapters 4. So we did 1 and 2 already. Please check out those episodes if you feel at all inclined to do so. Murder Falcon. It's by Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer. I'm digging it. I think you already know from my last video. Sorry, I'm not wearing the wig. I'm not playing my guitar this episode. Just got off work and I'm behind already on this episode. Work's been crazy, but let's get into it. Let's get into chapter 3. Now, if you remember at the end of chapter 2, we're starting to put the band back together. And we've got Johann, we've got the bass player, and of course we've got Jake, the front man, lead guitarist, and I'm assuming singer, although I haven't heard him sing. And we've got, now when these two have come together to fight these Veldar, these horrible monsters from another dimension, they use their, what are they, like spirit animals, musical spirit things to help them. So when Jake plays the guitar, he brings forth Murder Falcon. This great big man-shaped falcon guy with a metallic arm. I'm going to show you a picture here. Really probably can't see him much, but he's sitting up here on top of this woolly mammoth or mastodon. Yeah, the mastodon is the spirit animal for Johann, the bass player. Johann plays his bass and the mastodon comes out. And they use these creatures to help them defeat these ugly, you can't really see with the shape, but these crazy monsters from another dimension that are infiltrating our planet. And yeah, you can see them kind of down here jamming out. All right, so the monsters are getting bigger and stronger. So we got to put the whole band back together. We need a drummer. So let's go find our drummer. If you recall from chapters 1 and 2, this band, this heavy metal band of Jake and Johann and this drummer were on the verge of making it big. They were going to break the big time. They were going to do a show, and there were record execs there. And Jake wigged out, didn't show up, and put a kibosh to the whole thing. The band broke up, and this is where we are now. It's in the future. Now, we found out that Jake is depressed for some type of medical condition that may have happened to his wife. We're looking at some flashbacks. But let's start with chapter 3. I've kind of caught you up there. Here's the front of chapter 3. Really cool. They love their beer. You gotta, you gotta have a couple beers every once in a while if you're in a metal band, right? And they've got some cool things on the floor here. They've got like some comic books and, of course, some old pizza and stuff while they're sitting around. It looks like practicing, jamming. It's pretty cool because one of the comic books down here is Extremity, which is one of the comic series written by Daniel Warren Johnson. So that's kind of interesting. I like how in this book they throw in some things, like that. Like, I used to write for Extremity, so we'll put that in here. Or like the names of the people, like Johann, for instance. I'm assuming that's Johann Sebastian Bach, referring to Johann. Jake, not sure. Probably a bunch of Jakes in music. But you'll see as we proceed with chapter 3, we're outside, and right next to where Jake has been living, his apartment, is Nate's musical repair shop. And he's putting a for sale sign up on there. And he's an older gentleman. He's just saying, my hands don't work anymore. You know, I can't fix guitars and things anymore. And I'm going to have to retire and put my shop up for sale. That's a pretty sad thing. Who knows? Maybe somehow we can save that. We'll see. But we flash back now because he says, you know, you just can't do things you used to. And Jake says, I understand. And we have some more flashbacks of Jake with his young wife. And they appear to be in a doctor's office. And they're getting some bad news. We have an x-ray of a brain, it looks like here. So maybe there's some type of brain tumor or cancer or something going on with one of these people. And I believe that's, you know, it's the reason why Jake is so depressed and actually sabotaged the success of the band. But we're going to find out some more about that. And it does give a flashback to where Jake actually went to a rehearsal, and they've got another dude here that they're trying out to replace Jake in their own band. Their own band has apparently kicked Jake out of the band. And that's where he freaks out and slams his guitar, breaks his guitar, and pretty much now nobody wants to have anything to do with him. So we move on, and we meet now the drummer. The drummer is living in squalor. She's very poor, and she's taking care of her father, who seems to be ailing. He's got an oxygen tank, and I think he doesn't always know who she is. So she's struggling. She's taking care of him. And then just happens to be outside of her apartment, here comes some tanks, because lo and behold, here comes a monster right in front of her apartment complex. So what does that do? Well, of course, that brings out Jake and Johann and the mammoth. His name's Halford, after Rob Halford from Judas Priest, I'm sure, and Murder Falcon. So they rush to defeat this monster, and of course, it's at the old drummer's house. Knock on the door. He says, "Hey," and she's like, "What is Jake doing here?" Her name is Jimi, Jimi, and I'm sure that's referring to Jimi Hendrix. She's the drummer, and he gets her and her father in a wheelchair and gets them out of the apartment, because here comes this monster, and she's kind of freaking out, like, what the hell's going on here? And are we getting the band back together? And he's like, we need to get the band back together. And they start playing some awesome riffs here. Chunka chunka. And whenever they play the music, their spirit animals get stronger. They try to fight this giant pinkish monster here, and they're not doing too good. So they say, hey, let's get the hell out of here. Let's pull him away from the city, so he's not going to hurt anybody else or any other buildings or anything. And they jump in their metal van, you know, their rock and roll metal, heavy metal van, and take off. And of course, the monster follows them. Monster follows them. They're driving. They go across the bridge. The bridge gets broken in half, and this amazing van jumps over the break in the bridge through the air. And of course, the monster follows them right to the edge of the bridge. And they get out of the van, and he's like, let's go. Let's start ripping it. And he opens up the back of the van and displays this drum set for Jimi. But this drum set is awesome because it's got rockets on it. So she's floating now with this rocket-fueled drum set, and she's starting to kick ass, playing the drums. And when she does, of course, what happens? She brings her physical creation. I don't know what else to call them. And it looks like a sea monster. It's called Alexar. Alexar. Now, I looked up Alexar. I'm trying to figure out, you know, what person this monster is. I believe, because of, I think they're Armenian, their background, but I believe this is Alex Van Halen. Of course, amazing drummer, rock and roll drummer. One of the amazing bands of all time. One of my favorites, Van Halen. So I think that's who this is. Not as obvious as some of the other ones, but he comes out of the water. She's jamming on her drums to come and defeat this creature. And of course, now with the strength of the whole band playing, yeah, they take care of this creature. They banish this creature. But these creatures now, they seem to be getting stronger. They seem to be more focused because they're being directed by Magnum Chaos. Now, the rip in the void or this other dimension isn't quite big enough for Magnum Chaos to come forth into our world yet. But it's getting bigger, and he's getting more control over these monsters. So it's becoming harder and harder for them to deal with these monsters. So at the end of this chapter, right at the end of the chapter, we see this guy out in a boat, a little rowboat, and we see Crash and this big monster coming. Now, if you remember back in chapter, where was it? Yeah, the end of chapter 2, I believe. No, the end of chapter 1, we see Jake and Murder Falcon having a beer, sitting on top of the metal band, and this monster sitting out in this lake, just sitting there, not moving. Now this monster's coming to the fore. And this monster is going to be badass, right? So let's go to, that's the end of chapter 3. Let's go into chapter 4. So chapter 4, again, here's a picture. That big ass monster from the pond. Of course, Murder Falcon down here. And we, again, do a flashback. You can see the different color changes for the flashbacks, indicating a flashback. And we see Jake on the end of this pier, taking off his wedding ring and throwing it into the water. There's some nasty depression going on here with Jake. And we're seeing it pretty much ruined his life. So anyways, that was a flashback. They've defeated this one creature. Now they're all sitting in a diner, and they're all talking. We've got Jake, we've got Jimmy, the drummer, we've got Johan, the bass player, and of course Murder Falcon sitting there. They're all having coffee. They love their coffee. Sitting in this diner talking about, you know, bringing the band back together. And, you know, Jimmy still looks very, she doesn't really know what the hell's going on, but I think she's kind of excited that they're getting the band back together. We see these couple, this is kind of weird, non sequitur. They're this couple sitting on the beach, and this must be the beach where, you know, that giant monster was just sitting in the, I don't know if it was it's like a lake. I don't think it's huge, as big as a lake. Who cares? Anyways, they're sitting on there, and they're going to make out and stuff. And this monster, of course, starts moving. And the monster can touch them and can suck their essence out of their mind. It's feeding on their minds. And that's how it's getting stronger, too. That's what these monsters are doing. And now it's even grown bigger. Look how big it is now. It sucked their brains, and now it's getting bigger, and we've got to deal with it. So, let's do it, Alexar, Jimmy says, and starts whacking the hell out of the drums. We got Johan ripping on the bass. And this monster is not going to be as easy as the others. Again, they're getting stronger. They're getting more focused. They're having direction. So we've got Alexar and Halford and Murder Falcon going at this monster. and they're not doing a good job. The monster is very, very strong. It starts throwing them around. Matter of fact, it knocks down Jimmy out of her rocket-fueled flying drum set, crashes her to the ground. So they lose some of their music power there. Halford gets knocked down. So now Johan's lost a lot of his power. And Jake's standing on the edge of the pier playing, "Come on, Murph." He calls Murder Falcon Murph. Maybe Murph means something. I don't know. I was trying to see who Murder Falcon was. You know what though? Let me see if I can find it though. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting all out of my way. But they're not doing good. Even Murder Falcon gets knocked down and his middle arm crushed. And now, holy crap, we don't know what's going on. Look at him. He's on the pier here. I don't know if you can see that. And his metallic arm with all his guns and stuff is just trashed. And we're seeing that this creature is now grabbing Jake's head to suck, his brain. We can see kind of a picture of it down here. But when he's in this trance, getting his brain sucked, we see what this parable is. This wasn't Jake's wife that was sick. It was Jake. Jake's the one who was sick. And this is a little bit deeper than just a rollicking good time of, this heavy metal band defeating monsters. I had this feeling reading the first 2 chapters that maybe this was something deeper, not even necessarily real. I know it's comic, but real, like, is this all in his brain? Is this how he's dealing with his pain and depression? Has he sunk so far into himself that he's creating these monsters in his brain? And the only way he's deciding to combat it is through his music and through putting back together these relationships that he had destroyed. Oftentimes, I've seen this in my life where something tragic is happening to you or a friend or a family member and they have no future. And they choose to deal with that by pushing away the people that they love, the people that love them, the people that could care for them the most. And I know the feeling. When you look into these people's eyes, you don't want to see them being hurt by you because you're dying or very sick. You don't want to see that reflected in their eyes, and you kind of start resenting them for almost, you feel like they're just being nice to you because you're sick or something, and you don't want that. You don't want them to remember you like this. A lot of different emotions go through it, and some people tend to push the people that love them the most away from them. I think this is a personal story for this author, and I think that's what it is. This is how this guy, if it's a brain tumor, cancer or something, that this is how he's maybe psychologically dealing with this pain and depression and fear. I don't know. Maybe it's a little of both. Maybe some of it's happening and some of it isn't. But I don't know. That's the feeling that I'm getting, and it's pretty deep. It's pretty sad. So we're in trouble now, because this big creature from the lake is winning. He's destroying us. But then here comes Nate, the guy from the repair shop. He can't play any instruments anymore, but guess what he's got? He's got a cowbell. We need more cowbell. And he, even with the arthritis in his hands, he can play the hell out of a cowbell. And he gets these longhorn steers to come charging in and save the day. And when that happens, actually a lot of the water separates from this huge creature, and Jake finds the ring that he had tossed out in off the pier into that lake, and he puts it back on, and shrack, crack, lightning, boom, it infuses Murder Falcon, and here he comes now into his mega form, where he's got like these, now he's rocking these metal wings too. It's fun, but it's got this undertone of seriousness, and I'm really enjoying it for that reason. The artwork I think is pretty cool too. But here comes now supercharged mega form Murder Falcon, and together with the steer, the help of the steer and the cowbell, and Murder Falcon jazzed up now, they're able to defeat this giant monster from the lake. And it's interesting. The Lord, the Lord of Chaos dude, he thinks he's victorious. I'm victorious. The earth is mine. But he still hasn't come through from the other dimension yet. He still hasn't made that crack big enough. But it's getting bigger. And this dude thinks he's winning, but they're like, no, you're not. You're not going to beat us. And we shift now. We're right at the end of chapter 4, and we shift now to Jake walking up to this house. And he goes up on the porch. He knocks on the door. The door opens, and it's his wife. Now, I don't know if he just pushed her away and they're divorced now. I feared earlier that she maybe had died, but it wasn't her that was sick. And they're hugging. So, again, I don't know if this is real or if it's in his head. Maybe he's in a coma, and this is how he's dealing with it, and he's going to find the internal resolve to beat this and come out of this coma. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And this is what's happening in his brain to help him defeat the evil of whatever's in his brain. I don't know. That's what I think. But that's the end of chapter 4, and it's very promising for what's coming next. All right, guys, that's it. That's episode 2 of Murder Falcon with the Marvel-ous team-up. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you all stick around for the next episode in 2 weeks. I hope you check out Grozz's channel, and I hope you check out Jay's channel. And if you like anything that you see here, please like, subscribe, give me comments, and until next time, peace out.